There's just 1 minute to showtime.
The engines are on.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
When they wrote up the systems and the rule set that we use, did working people get to write a line? What class of men on pen and paper jotted down their clues? With capital the heart of their design. When 90 million want a thing, but some shareholders say no. Which class of people get to have their way? The people read the fine print, say that this thing has got to go, and we'll start writing a new contract here today. Don't you know that hundreds will work and one man keeps the money? They don't think they gotta tell us why. When they say the new social contract, all the bosses will be gobsmacked and everyone will want a sign. Oh, yeah, everyone will want a sign.
All right. Hello, everyone. If you were enjoying our kick-ass theme song, that's courtesy of our own mayor, Mr. Jared. So thank you, Mr. Jared, for that and his excellent stylings. I happen to think that we have the best theme song in socialist podcasting.
That's because we do, dang it. People need to start hiring me.
Yeah, right? They do. They definitely do. Yeah, so my hair is all over the place. It's so cold here. My hair is just completely in the skin. It's like the worst weather. We're like having a cold snap. So it's like it just gets worse every time I touch it. So we're like it feels like real feel is like minus 14 right now. And then luckily it's gonna go back to just like regular cold instead of advanced coldness. But it sucks today. I'm doing a show. I'm freezing right now. So
I know what you mean. We are like in the 40s. It's not hot or anything out here, but it's not quite as not quite as cold.
Right? Yeah, so we're gonna go back. I just hate it. I'll survive. Like I prefer to be cold than hot, anyways. But I hate it because the cats that we try to take care of all the time. It's just like, oh no, I hope you're doing okay. We're trying to get them hot food strategically, and because some are more friendly than others, so it's like, no, you got to come right now. So. That's my main concern about it, because I could always get under a blanket if I'm cold, but when we keep little shelters and stuff out there, but they're not always willing to use them. So, but at least we're not the only people in the neighborhood with trying to help them out. So, my hope is that our situation is like the worst, and like other people's is like Cat Shangri-La, and then they just go there. So, but I think I'm just glad that other people, it's not just us trying to do it. Anyways, seems like we're always talking about feral cats on our show, but it's important to take care of our outdoor buddies. People just leave them to their own devices and abandon them, and especially when we go through a hard economic time. And right now, my cat died, last summer, and I haven't been able to afford to have another one, and I've never not had a cat in my life, so it's kind of driving me crazy. But anyways, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We're glad to be back with you. A little bit of a programming note. So next month, Jared is going to be gallivanting about the globe again, and
That's right.
we will see him for pretty much the entire month of February. So
I'm gone for February.
Gone for February. So I'm going to do a couple of solo shows, and then we'll see how the schedule works out, and then I'll probably skip a couple just so it's not like you're stuck with me only for a month. And then people are like, what happened to Jared? I think it's just my show now. No, it's like, no, we didn't get in a fight. Everything's fine. He's still part of the show. He's just got some things to do. Do you think you'll be doing another road vlog?
I will not be making anything nearly as long as the one I did for China. Oh, yeah, go look up an American Coyote in China, which is my 3-hour long travel blog under Pepper Coyote is where you'll find it on YouTube. I will definitely not be making a thing nearly as long for the UK. I might make a short thing. Who knows if it's like an especially interesting trip. The reason I do the China ones are because like it's harder to find people who just like I went to China. Let me talk about it. Where I went to England and let me talk about it. There's a lot of that.
Well, also,
It's
it's
kind of
like
easy
super
to access
relevant right
information.
now. The whole China thing going on, which we'll kind of unpack a little bit. I have joined
Yes.
Red Note. I'm not really a social media person too much. Not really that into it. But it's kind of a neat place, and I've been enjoying it. And and if you're keeping score at home, you know that we've been on about that we are like kind of really into China. I don't know, like we're not like fan people of it. Like we're like, oh, China, we love it so much. It's just that we find ourselves repeatedly having to point out how shit American life is and how it doesn't have to be that way. Case in point, here's life under communism in China, and it's great. And Americans who thought they were going to have their TikToks banned jumped over there. And mostly, I was just like really wanting to see what it was about. And but they jumped over there, and then there was this whole meeting of the minds going on where the Chinese users thought that they had been getting government propaganda about how bad American life was, and then Americans went all crazy because they found out that our lives are dog shit and that they don't have to be like this, and they found out that communism is great, and we've been saying it all this time. We thought it was cool before anybody else did. So, yeah, oh
We
yeah, there we
are.
go.
I'm pulling
Right?
up some memes here where it's you go on the. I mean, I don't want to over exaggerate and think and act like this is the entire country is having some kind of big awakening, but
Oh,
people who use the internet and are very internet freaking, involved. We're having a bit of a cultural exchange where
right.
the it seems to be this to summarize where Americans are going, oh my god, everything my government told me about China is a lie, and a lot of because it might shock you to know there's actually a lot of libs who we would call shit libs who are Chinese. There are millions and millions of Chinese people who are like, man, everything in China would be fixed if we would just open up to the West and do like what the West does. We should have a Western style neoliberal democracy where we should have regular. They're like America's doing it right, and we need to copy America. And a lot of that happens to be the class of Chinese people that most uses the app Red Note. Like it's a I think it's again this is what I'm just taking from Chinese people who know a bit more about it, but they refer to it as like it's like rich kid Instagram. I think is what they
I
like
get
jokingly
that.
will refer
Yeah,
to it as.
it's got that vibe for sure. It doesn't
So you're gonna see
feel.
mostly more affluent Chinese people. People,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
feels very affluent. I can say that. It does feel very affluent. Yeah, I wasn't there but like 2 days before somebody started to try to do an NFT hustle on me. So it's an unusual place, but I think like the cultural meeting of the minds was
it's
something I
kind of
really kind of
appropriate
yeah.
because like a slightly upper middle class Chinese person and a slightly lower middle class American person, they're on like weirdly like common air, except they're starting to go. You're seeing Chinese people, the right side of this meme here that we're doing, which is OMG, everything my government told me about the U.S. is true, because they're sitting over there going like, there's no way America's really like this. That's just the government who's like lying to us to try and keep us from establishing our Western style neoliberal democracy, overthrow the government, whatever. Like, not that they're about to do that. And then you get more specific examples. Someone on Red Note asked if it's true that minimum wage hasn't been increased in 16 years, or if it was just Chinese government propaganda. And all the Americans are going, "Nah, yeah, that's right. That's what it is." And then this is one I saw first, which was someone in the comments of Red Note asked me if we really had to pay for an ambulance in America, or if that's just government propaganda, which then sets off a cascade, which I think is helpful here because then people start looking into it and they're like, oh, so what does an ambulance cost? And people are posting like, here's the chart for Chinese ambulance in Shanghai, the most expensive city in China, and it's like an ambulance service. And by the way, that's the ride in the ambulance, all the EMT shit they do to you. It's not just the ambulance itself and then all the extra costs. It's like, all right, so it's $50 in Shanghai. it's, and that still I think should be zero, like morally, if you ask me as a person, just like healthcare, human right, blah blah blah. But goddamn, if they rolled up to my house and they're like, "Hey, we can ambulance you for $50," I'd be like, "That's fine, I'll pay."
Yeah, cool. Let's take a ride. Yeah,
I
sounds
was
good.
considering Uber, which is about the same price.
right? So it has been interesting for like kind of a cultural meeting of the mind situation and see it really blowing things up. Um, but I can see how that's true. It does seem very affluent. I'm not sure that we're getting like the full picture there necessarily,
I
but
think
I
it's
think
the right chunk of China is seeing America because it's a lot of people who think we live in frickin' the roads are paved with cheese. There's no cats in America.
yeah,
Like
right.
America's perfect, doing everything. Like we would solve all of our dumb Chinese problems if we just copied America. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe we shouldn't.
No, yeah, exactly. And I think that it's really important that they see that as much as that people here saw it. My only concern is that when I look at the big picture and the whole TikTok thing to me, like the shutdown thing, I that had to have been staged. This was like a PR stunt. The CEO of TikTok sponsored at least one of the inaugural balls for Trump. They thanked Trump in their thank you to President Trump for getting it. But like I thought it would come back like yesterday, like that they would at least. But it was gone for like a couple hours overnight. Like, give me a fucking
It
break.
was gone for a few hours. When I
Yeah,
went to
it was
work, it
gone
was
for a few
banned.
hours, and I don't know. I guess I get it. I'm kind of conspiratorial about it, but I'm not a big city lawyer here. But I think that are you getting a connection thing? Hold on here.
Am I? I hear you just fine.
Connection lost. Can you hear me? Oh, I'm gone.
I hear you just fine. So maybe it was you this
What's
time. All right.
happening?
But I'll talk
Me. Okay.
while Nicolette either implodes and comes back or just comes back in these like couple of seconds. But yeah, there's a lot of converging interests with the temporary and the very short-lived ban of TikTok. I mean, you have the most basic interest of if you own a short-form video platform, if you are like Facebook had their short like YouTube Shorts, et cetera, you absolutely get. Why would you try and stop or fight with a TikTok ban? Like it'd be like if Facebook and frickin' Twitter were having a competition and we're gonna ban Twitter. Do you think Facebook would be like, no, please leave our competition intact? It's so you have the interest of just the tech dudes who are all currently trying to slide up, make Trump happy because that's the new admin because they only care about their businesses doing well, of course. Because I mean, what else would you do? You are a businessman in the business world, and then you also have the it's literally the only one that isn't fully U.S. owned. Even though, yes, TikTok is a cutout from the actual Chinese app Douyin. That's the thing. People keep saying like, "Oh, the real Chinese TikTok of a
We're both
Red
going
Note
out
or a
now.
Little Red Book," and it's like it's not. That's not the real. The real Chinese
They're
TikTok is
censoring
Douyin.
us.
It's already a cutout. It's like they've already, and China doesn't actually own TikTok. They have a different rep who's like a Singaporean guy who, Western, blah, blah, blah. They did all the things that they followed the rules they're supposed to have to follow to run an app. But isn't it convenient that the only one that isn't 100% fully, entirely within the US, as opposed to your Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, etc. I think it's only like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube now, right? Like everything else is owned by one of those, like your
Right.
Googles or your
Yes.
Meta. So isn't it weird that the only one, like maybe it really is that people were shit talking about Palestine so much on TikTok that like led to it, but the fact that it was like 3, 2, 1, it's canceled. No, it's uncanceled. Thank you very much, new president who we're trying to make friends with. Yeah, it's Biden could have just not done this. And depending on who you like, you can either blame Biden, thank Biden, blame Trump, thank Trump, all for the TikTok ban, depending on which president you like and whether you like TikTok or not. How are we doing? Are you back? You look back to me.
Yes. I think so. I think I am. I
I
wanted
don't
to
know
make
exactly
the
which
comment that
interests made TikTok go down and come back.
yeah, well, I think
Many.
it's pretty clear which interest Trump has, which with the people he had sitting with him at his inauguration were all the new tech bros. He wants in on that tech money. I mean, I'm sure he's getting his fair share of the logging and pharmaceutical and oil guys up his ass. But I think he made it pretty clear line in the sand there about what's going on. What I wanted to make a comment about a moment ago. What is the protocol for maximizing us back on the screen?
I just click leave.
There's you.
There's me.
There's me. They're just not working the way that they should be right now. My back? Nope, just you. I don't know what's going on.
Here,
Oh,
let me
it
click
says
some
you're
things.
maximized. Oh, there we go. There you go. Anyways, well, it's just that I had this kind of feeling that usually when there have to be like mass updates done to certain things, like might, be like, oh, well, the website's going to be down for a little bit, or kind of a thing. And I got the distinct impression that was, to do it like a mass, like it's such a big website with such a huge user base. I really did have the kind of feeling that like that they were using that at the same time to roll out some more data mining,
Just take it
and
down for an update.
more spying type stuff. They're like, oh, you think we're spying? We're going to spy so hard. Because obviously, like, the TikTok and Trump are now in collusion. Like, that is a clear situation going on. But in tying into our communistic awakening that TikTokers seem to be having here, and I want to be clear, it's TikTokers. It's really not the whole of the United States here. Austerity, I don't want to say it's at an all-time high because it's typical, but it's just that, the Nazism and the austerity attitude is just out of control right now. So it is a very small cross-section. It feels on the surface like a good thing. Oh, this is great for the people who were already socialists and communists and wanted to see these social changes take place. But I have a feeling that now that the TikTok is back, that Americans are going to do what they always do, is use their tiny little memories to go right back to it. Because I personally feel like TikTok is brain rot. Like, I don't feel like that for the same reason like conservatives would say it, but I feel like it because it's a pacifier to me. It seems like it's a kind of a pacification where you just sit there for hours and hours and hours and hours. And now with like TV and cable and streaming being so garbage and being so unaffordable for a lot of people, they're using this as like a replacement for television. So they will sit there just as much as you would watch a show or a movie or something like that. And so it is pacification in a lot of ways. And I think now with these changes and the collusion with Trump, they're going to see it's going to be a lot worse, and they're going to be spying, and I think in a much bigger way. They meaning the United States, not China. That was never happening. And then a lot of people have commented that they'd rather have the Chinese government have their data, and because they have no jurisdiction over us, yet the United States government can pretty much do whatever they want to us with no recourse. So, there's that argument as well. Time will tell, I think, on this. And I think there was a big myth for a long time that you don't get censored on TikTok. I mean, obviously the word triggers which
You're
are stupid.
censored for different things. Like,
But
each app has their own ones.
There was this sort of I guess, propagandist notion that it's like, oh, it's Chinese owned, so you could set anything. And we know that they had a problem with the fact that there was so much Palestinian sympathy coming from it. And that was really the main reason of wanting to shut it down. But the idea behind this is I think it's really just going to be more of a way to censor and to spy, because they don't let you just say and do whatever, and that you are being watched. It's just like an American thing now, and I think they really sealed the deal here. Not sold to America, but made an agreement here, between Trump and the CEO to be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Everybody gets what they want. You will maintain ownership. We'll put it off. I look like big American hero. So
yeah, I'm interested to see what the actual how, if any, changes of ownership actually do happen. I heard somebody talking about oh, now it's owned by Meta, and I'm like, is it? But we'll know soon enough.
I have a note here, and I did want to mention this. We do have a tiny bit of good news, maybe. I don't know if you heard this. I didn't get a chance to look it up and see if it was true. I just saw a lot of credible people talking about it. It looks like Leonard Peltier is going to be released from prison.
I also saw that.
Did you see that?
That's
He's been almost 50 years in prison, Native American political activist, if you don't know. And what's interesting is that right around, I think it was the day after Christmas, I was watching a movie called Powwow Highway, and it came out in 1988. Oh, do you know it? Is that what you said?
I actually know it very well. I've watched it several times.
You have?
My pony threw me.
Oh my God, that is such a random connection that you've seen that movie.
It's a movie that I was shown to me by Native American friends. They're like, this is a good movie if you want to see some like this is goofy family movie, but it has a surprising amount of it's accurate on the Native American parts. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was really neat because I liked the way that they kind of addressed the whole idea of Native American spiritualism as from their own point of view, where it's not really a thing, but they're kind of how they were trying to metabolize things. Plus, there's this heavy Christmas vibe going on.
I think that's why I like it, is because no, this is what if you were in the 80s as a native, this is kind of what your life was could
Yeah,
have
it
been
was like a
like.
Christmas movie too. It was
You know
so
what I'm saying?
unusual, and it did have this kind of magical realism thing going on. But I
In the
did
same way, a
notice,
Christmas movie might have the whole like, oh, the spirit of Christmas,
right? Yeah,
like it's there. It's not like so heavy. Read this Bible and.
yeah, right. In the Stars Wars, you also see, it was set like a lot of these people had come back from Vietnam and were, kind of fighting for their rights because it's the same stuff they're dealing with now, which is that, they want, America is always trying to get their mineral rights and poisoning their water, what they have available. And then there were characters that were fighting against it and for it. It stars A. Martinez and Gary Farmer. But there are other Native American faces in there you would recognize if you're into their cinema, which I am. But the idea is that they do at one point make a comment in that film about, oh, you're going to be like Leonard Peltier up there. And they do. And that was in 1988 that film came out. And so I was like, oh, damn. When I saw that, I was like, oh, shit. Now, that I watched literally like the day after Christmas for the first time. And then now, a couple 3-4 weeks later, we're looking at some good news maybe on that front. So it only took 1 million years for something to happen there with that, which was pretty unjustly imprisoned anyway. But
it's very much real for Leonard. It's basically wouldn't it have been nice if Biden would have done something for the general.
Yeah, totally.
It's nice that you let out Leonard Peltier. Like that does seem like the more you look into it, it's not even that like it's just such a fucked up conviction and trial that it's really hard to be like, yes, you definitely should spend 50 years sitting in prison. That's the right thing for this. It's like maybe you did, but the process that they went through is so heinous that he should not be sitting in jail. So yeah. It's like one of those where you're like, how the hell did that guy? Like, that's such an obvious blah, 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 DNA evidence, whatever. But it's nice that he did that. I would have loved if maybe there was some kind of more broad sweeping thing and then you also, it feels like we made Juneteenth a national holiday. Aren't you happy, black people?
Yeah,
look at what we did for you.
This is so important. This is a really important thing to do.
Now you can afford rent. You just tell your landlord, look, there's a holiday. I don't have to pay rent.
Yeah, right? Like, that's the whole thing. Like, it just showed that even in the last couple of days, the priorities were so backwards on things that...
When you do it 4 years ago, like, give them...
Right, really. Like, it would have taken 1 second to do this kind of thing, but...
He had a lot of interesting pardons. I don't know if you want to get into that or not.
Yeah, well, I'm just so done with Biden shit that I just kind of tuned it out a little bit until I heard that.
But it is nice.
But I did hear also that he had given like preemptive pardons to like Anthony Fauci.
Why would you have to give him a pardon? He did nothing wrong.
Why might that be? Because he's a career fucking villain who's been killing people for 40 fucking years?
Why would you have to pardon your son? He simply took a normal job in a normal country and got normal money for doing normal business things. He knows a shit ton about natural gas. That's what Biden is famous for. Yeah, he's famous for knowing 2 things. Natural gas business and the Ukrainian language. He loves those.
Yeah, and we're literally like, Trump wasted no time, and that's sort of the thing you get a little bit almost. I don't know what the word is exactly. I don't want to say envious necessarily, but just like makes the Democrats look all the more dumb. Is he pretty much left his own parties, which Trump loves to party and celebrate himself. He left his parties to start signing executive orders so fast he didn't even know what he was signing. Like they were just handing, he was signing.
He said, "What's this one for?"
Right?
Like, what's this one?
Oh,
okay.
We can murder the poors now. So he was just delighted to get in there, and get going. That was the whole big thing about it. And
did anybody give us a list? I'll pull that up while you're talking to see what orders we signed.
Right? Yeah, things have been happening so fast. I didn't really have a chance to like do a deep dive into research for any of this stuff to find out exactly. I figured, we're gonna have time to talk about it. I know that there was some Medicare messing about with some prescriptions and stuff like that, and one big thing that's driving me crazy is, I hope liberals enjoyed their 4-year vacation because now they're all bothered again.
I am fucking hyped that now I have some backup again when I'm mad about shit that's happening in the federal government.
Yeah, I think somebody might go right way when I'm angry about it. But it's just like,
It's like,
oh, did you
cool,
guys
I'll
enjoy your time off? Was that
enjoy the
fun?
friends. Enjoy having political friends for the next 4 years, and then as soon as a Democrat gets back in, they're gonna be like, "Well, it's fine. It's a Democrat doing it. Why would you be
Yeah,
upset?
no.
It's
They're
secretly
not
good."
concentration camps. They're detainment facilities, and they have to be detained.
Yes.
You know,
The detainment facilities are once again concentration camps, and we can talk
yeah.
about them again.
And
Nothing.
well, it's just like I guess all these. I wasn't sure if it was legitimate or not. Like, but there, I guess a bunch of people like gathered in Washington again. We have like Pussy Hat
And
2.0
it's like,
shit going
welcome back,
on.
everybody. Hope you liked your break.
Yeah,
I
right.
hope you enjoyed the vacation.
Yeah,
Like,
like a lot of people died and got, and then it's like they're all like, hot and bothered about deportations now. Okay, do you
oh my,
fail
I was
to
just about to.
well, do you fail to recall that like Obama was dubbed the deporter in chief? Like he was doing it more than anybody. Biden also continued that legacy in a major way, like basically ending asylum policies. And now we have the villain in charge again. And he's like, and they're like, oh, you need to go and yell, ICE is coming if you see ICE. And it's like, okay, are you going to do that? Are you actually going to do that? You've sat on the sidelines here for 4 years, very
December
fucking
20th
quietly.
of last year, U.S. deportations under Biden surpassed Trump's record. Like, I can read more of the article, but you get it.
You get it,
Trump
right?
deported fewer people than Obama, and he deported fewer people than Biden. And from at the stroke of midnight, it's like they transfer from Pumpkin back to Cinderella, and suddenly, like, oh, we see these deportations now. Our eyes are open again. Like we couldn't see them under Biden because those were the good kind of deportations, but
Right.
now
Only the
those were
bad guys got
temporary
deported.
relocation services. Now we're back to deportations.
Right. Yeah.
271,000 immigrants deported from the U.S. over the last fiscal year, according to a report released by U.S. Immigration and Customs. That's from ICE, like it's their numbers, on Thursday. ICE report comes just weeks before Trump takes office and plans to make mass deportations a cornerstone. Like, the guy who's the mass deportations guy somehow deported fewer people than the guy who's the good to immigrants guy. Like, you have to be able to square that for me, or you have to shut the fuck up about it.
Yes. But they won't. Like they're just constantly like it's I think the moral superiority that liberals exude that make me so angry. It's like, okay, like you get to take 4 years off of fighting these people just because you like blew better. Like
They
that.
accept the premise that there is a team out there fighting for them, and when they basically get to tag out because, no, you see, the team is in there right now. Our team is in right now fighting for us. We don't have to play defense
Right.
until the bad team, even though what actually happens is the same.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think you have the right attitude about it, and I'm just angry because when I see it, I'm just like, you assholes, because I just think about like, where were you when like we were sitting here like literally saying like Biden is doing worse things to people all the way around, and you're just like.
That's where we're at now. Is they complain about a thing, and I say, "Oh yeah, I Biden was doing that too." I'm still mad about, like, I'm gonna bring it up every single time. Every time it's like Trump is fucking up, and I'm like, yes, this was happening under Biden, and now it's continuing under Trump, and it is still bad. As opposed to how they were unable to being like, Trump started a thing, Biden continued it, and it became good since Biden was like, Trump shut down border, bad. Biden shut down border, good. Like the exact same, like, if it exceeds this number, we shut down for X number of days. Like, that just is the Trump policy. They just took it and kept it going, and it became good somehow. It became a thing that people like.
They
that
fail to
liberals like.
see that they really do believe that there's political division. They really do believe that
That's
these people
the
are.
mistake.
Yeah, that is a mistake because they really do believe that these people are on separate teams and want separate things. It is two different means to the same end. They might say and do things maybe a little softer or a little kinder or maybe more agreeably, or more aggressively if that's what you're into.
Your senator, no matter who they are, your senator right now, person who is listening, even if you're like, my senator's great, my senator sucks, blah, blah, every single one of them just voted to confirm Marco Rubio, who is part of the new Nazi party, if you remember all of the marketing that we received. Yeah. They voted to confirm him 99-0. The 100th vote is Marco Rubio himself, because traditionally you do not vote for yourself in your own confirmation hearing. But Bernie Sanders voted for him. Whoever your favorite Dem senator who you think is out there fighting for you also voted for him. They didn't even do the symbolic, like, where 20 of them vote against because they only need 60 to pass. 100% of your senators voted for Marco Rubio, who a month ago they were telling you is Hitler's best friend. He's the new Goebbels or whatever.
We're both down.
I keep talking because I'm never sure who. I didn't get the "oops, my connection's messed up" message, so I assume it's not me. But I'm filling air,
Right? I
baby.
don't know either. I don't know if it's
All of
me or
them
if it's
voted for
you.
Marco Rubio, who is the new Himmler to Trump's Hitler, but that all
Right.
that shit goes away. They all are going to vote for it. So like, if you think someone is up there fighting anything, like you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's a show they put on. It's WWE. You get to that right now. The Democrats get to play this role, and the Republicans have to play this role. But like, it's all freaking well, it's not Vince McMahon anymore, but like the WWE as a corporation benefits regardless. It's a show they put on to make you okay with something.
Right. And they
There's
like
always
that, you know, traditionally the Republicans are always supposed to be the heel. Like they're the bad guys, they're always doing the worst stuff. But that
I
only
think they're
opens the
swapping roles
door
now.
to allow, you know, the Democrats to slide in and do
I think we are getting another southern strategy, a southern
going on
strategy. We're
today.
flipping back now. We're going because now we have like 51% of Hispanic voters going for the Republicans, and all of the traditional demographics have flipped. Nicole, I'm gonna just swap your window just to try and. Nope, you're freeze framed on you mid word, and that's silly. Okay, let's do a couple more red bubble things. Red bubble, red note, a little red book. Some more. What is it? Zhaohua Suo. Now, XHS posts. Here we have. They're talking. This is what the government says about the social credit system. If you go to like official Fed websites, you'll get the China social credit system is a broad regulatory framework intended to report the trustworthiness of individuals, corporations, blah blah blah. And they go on key takeaways. The goal of the social credit system is to provide a holistic assessment of an individual trustworthiness. The China social credit system, while still in development, is arguably an extension of the existing social rankings and ratings of China. Blah blah. And then you see that's U.S. info, and then you see the Chinese. Reactions, which are like, you just stop consuming American propaganda. Let's think for 1 minute. If this system were to really exist, then what technology do you use to monitor 1.4 billion people? It's like,
Yeah.
they don't have a social credit. They
Okay.
have a
I think
credit
I'm
system
back.
the same way we have a credit score, where which like if you do petty crimes or don't pay back your shit, it'll hit your credit score. The reason social was put anywhere near it was to put because they claimed the Americans had an anti-social credit system, and they're like, we have a social credit. So like, yes, you do get a credit score in China, but it seems to, as far as I can tell talking to people, affect your life less so than the American credit, like your credit score here in America. So if I think both are questionable and probably should go away, but to pretend that China has this authoritarian, if you fucking jaywalk, a camera picked it up, you got a bing against you on a thing, and the next time you go to order McDonald's, they're gonna tell you no because your social credit is so. Guys, I watched a taxi drive the wrong way down a fucking sidewalk to get to like do a pickup, and I'm like, so are they going to be executed tomorrow? Because their social credit should be fucked from that, right? Like,
That can't be
it's just
good.
city shit. Like it's
Yeah,
normal.
I think it's me that keeps going out. I'm not sure, but I think it's
I haven't gotten my
end of
oops
it.
message, so I'm
But the,
assuming that's it. Hopefully, I'm not wrong.
yeah. Yeah, I have. So I think it's on me this time. But yeah, it's I you know another thing about this is that we've never sat here and said, oh, we think China is perfect, the system is flawless, we absolutely love everything they do, because no matter where you go, there are going to be human rights issues, there's going to be animal rights issues, there's going to be, you know, fiscal issues, there's always things to improve, because China's a gigantic country, America's a gigantic country, and it's they just seem to have a better sense of how to govern a
One is
large
banks over
country with
corporations. One is
large
corporations
people.
over. I'm sorry. One is banks over government.
Right.
One is government over banks. Like we have their government. If you
Yes.
fuck around and if you get found out for doing some embezzling, there is a high chance they will literally kill you. Like that, their death penalty. The death penalty
Yeah.
in China comes in when you do huge financial crimes. Because in the U.S. you start thinking of those as basically victimless crimes. It's like, no, dude, that was somebody's money. Like when frickin' Bernie Madoff
Right.
went down, he took down a shit ton of people's retirement. Their retirement was gone, and that materially fucked over a lot of people. Most of the people in that were already rich, so like, who cares? I'm not fucking crying tears for this, but like when a quote white collar crime happens, when they're doing stuff where, oh, like in the U.S. it'll be like, well, they were supposed to Trump, you're supposed to build a certain amount of affordable housing, and then you just break those rules and don't, and you've essentially then stolen tax money that they've given. Like those kind of crimes are taken extraordinarily seriously in China, where here it's like, oh, some banker had to pay a $2 million penalty for, and it's just nothing to them. Like they get to throw a freaking nickel away.
Nobody cares. Yeah, it's just more money. They just, throw more money at it. That's the way things work here. It's like any amount of money can get you out of a money crime or any
But if
crime.
you shoplift
like,
enough, you might find yourself on death row here. Like if you do enough property
exactly.
crime.
Like that's the kind of thing. And I think that also kind of goes back to the idea of where there have been people saying, "Oh, I'd rather have China directly had access to my data rather." Yeah, take it, because they have no jurisdiction over us. They can't do what, you throw me off your app? Oh no, don't do that. Like, okay, actually, like I was there like one day in posting political shit before they started reviewing my stuff. But then it all went through. Like they're like, okay, we're on your side. Like it all went through, but they were, there were, because the fact of it is, one thing that I haven't really seen coming up as much, and I tried to kind of make a point of this, and it did get reviewed, but it did ultimately, because I don't really feel like the people on this app were ever that politically motivated, especially
internationally. You don't talk about politics in the same way in China as you do here.
Yeah, right. It's not because here it's so bad that you got to complain about it. Like we have a show to complain about politics and the way that we're treated here. Like if you didn't have a reason to, you'd never even know who we were. Like we would not.
If you post memes about Xi Jinping, there is a much higher chance that you're going to get either it or your account taken out. And as I've been told, as I've heard from other people who are actually Chinese, who are like embedded in the culture, it's a thing of like, yeah, the current ruler, it's just considered weird or rude to like be, not pictures them because they're trying to keep it secret, but there's supposed to be a layer of like, well, he's the president, you're supposed to have some amount of respect, which can make sense if you have a leader that is respectable. Like, Xi Jinping generally conducts himself in a very respectable manner. Like he seems to be a logical guy,
publicly,
at least publicly.
At the very least, yeah.
So if you post like memes with him and his face edited to look like or whatever, like it's seen differently than here. You're almost encouraged to be like, please take the president and fucking ruin him on the internet, make fun of him. That's like one of our proud American traditions. That's part of our First Amendment shit. Is we are all the court jester. Right. But even then, there's been situations where, oh my god, what was her frickin' name? The celebrity who like stood with a fake decapitated Trump head, and everybody like was like, oh, Kathy Griffin. I thought it was Susan Sarandon or somebody. But yeah, like that was seen as like, oh, Kathy Griffin is threatening. I'm like, she's not gonna fucking. What, she thinks she's gonna go take a sword and?
But you're gonna look at that. She's gonna cut his head off. Give me a break. It's so
but it
stupid.
Still was a big thing here in America. The freedom.
Yeah, it made a huge deal out of it. You most especially had conservatives up in arms about it, but even liberals, which of course, because they're the same, were like, no, it's inappropriate.
People freaked out. I know this has a whole fucking like racial undertone, which makes it more fucked up. But like everybody freaked out when they were like doing like burning Obama in effigy and shit. And it's like, well, it's either all okay or none of it's okay. Everybody. You can either you can either the Kathy Griffin Trump head is fine, and that also means if you want to burn an Obama piñata, also fine, I guess. Like I'm not gonna do either, but I think those are both pretty First Amendment covered.
Yeah. Yeah, they ought to be. And the thing of it is that I feel like they may not. I don't want to say that like the whole country or the whole participating group of people on Red Note in China aren't like aware or like aren't paying attention.
Clicking buttons.
That they are.
Sorry, I'm clicking buttons here. The throwing comments I don't mean to throw.
Well, I was just to kind of put close the conversation about it. I think that they are not aware how serious America is about turning our guns on them. I really don't think that they realize that in the next year or two, America already basically, the government, I won't say America because it's not people, but the government basically has plans to, because things aren't, they basically run out of ways to make money in Ukraine and
we're beginning the real estate theft phase here in a bit once the.
Yeah, right. So they've got to get to the point now where they need, to the MIC is demanding, a pound of flesh. And so we're going to, and most likely under the guise of trying to save Taiwan and give them their sovereignty, and we got to give them freedom. We got to go America them and give them their freedom, like, because that's what we do. So under that, situation, they're going to start to tell, or the American media and American government are going to start saying that China's being aggressive, even though we surround them with military bases and we're constantly in their seas with our giant ships and, of war and all of this. But they're going to start saying they're being aggressive, they're being unreasonable. We just want freedom for Taiwan. But I don't think they realize that. I don't think they realize what is coming. And we have been down this road so many times that we now know that they're in the crosshairs, right? Like probably by next year, some crazy shit's going to start happening from America's end of things. And they're going to have a lot of American participation and a lot of people here saying it's a good thing to do that. And once again, rebranding China as the enemy. But they seem kind of, I don't know if it's blasé or if they just really are kind of not aware, because we're really not too much on their radar until now. Like what's happening here had not really affected life in China on the whole. And so they're impacted in the way that we are impacted in this whole cultural exchange. But I think Americans are going to get bored with it and then get on the train of like, hoorah, America. I think that's going to happen again because things have become already so austere and so Trump supporting. People that hated him before are just supporting the shit out of him now. And he's got a pretty good approval rating. I saw some polls, CBS polls yesterday that said he had like 60% of people or something like that.
Your little honeymoon bit, but yeah, he's already like shattered whatever his previous approval like.
I posted about it. Oh, here it is. 60% of participants in this poll. It said 60% of Americans are optimistic about the next 4 years with Donald Trump, even more so than they were in 2017 before his first term. Most are also hopeful about the coming year.
That's interesting.
60% are optimistic about Trump's next term. That is
I view it the same way I do with Biden. It's like I expect less than nothing, and you are welcome to surprise me. Like if we're sitting here in a year and it's like, wow, eggs are 85 cents a dozen, and gas is $2, and my rent went down somehow. I don't even pay rent. My mortgage went down somehow. Like I mean, and we're somehow out of various wars. Like for real. What am I gonna say? Boo! I wish we didn't do those things.
Exactly.
But I don't think that that would not be my prediction. I think that out of the whole China situation, I think we're gonna hopefully, in the same way that Americans have a general positive feelings for Japan, and you have all the like weeaboos who just really like Japan. I mean, I'm one of those people who just like, oh, Japan, this is cool. Like now, China, China, it's like basically okay. All the things you think about Japan, China's doing all that, and possibly I saw a whole like little rash of 3, 4, 5 different viral videos that went viral with the caption of like, look what Japan has compared to blah blah blah, and then every time it's like, that's China. That is, you are looking at video of China and claiming it's Japan because in the popular consciousness, Japan is the future country, where in reality, China is the future country. That's how Taiwan reunification is probably going to go down if the U.S. doesn't force a military thing in the meantime, is over time, same thing with Hong Kong. It used to be Hong Kong and Taiwan were very, very nice compared to mainland China, and people would the mainland, they'd look over and be like, oh fuck man, like look all the stuff they have from their Western democracies, they have all these cars and products, look all the pantyhose I can purchase. And now it's become the opposite, where Hong Kong looks over and is like, oh fuck, it's like, oh man, they're like, hospitals are better than ours, they have better trains, they got better roads, they all have air conditioning more than we do, etc., etc. And that's happening with Taiwan now. Mainland, if you compare Shanghai to Taiwan, like I hear Chinese people saying, like, if Taipei was just part of the mainland, it'd be like a tier 3 or 4 city, and like tier 1 is the big ones, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the thing, every U.S. city would be like a tier 8. Like we wouldn't even be in the tier 1 through 5 system. We'd be like, I guess, a low 5. It's like, what, you have one line of subway? Oh my god, what are you, in the middle of nowhere? And it's like, nope, that's our second biggest city.
Yeah, and that's where all the rats in the sewage
those are
water
our biggest
live.
metropolises are like this.
Yeah, right. And yeah, that's correct. I think a lot of people, it's I don't know if it's xenophobia is the right way to put it. Yeah, right. I don't know if xenophobia is the right way to put it, but it's like, again, in America, they would probably look at all Asian people as just kind of homogenous.
That's coming
like,
apart too. Is people are starting to go, oh wow, there is no.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of Asian critics of the whole Pan-Asianism, where it's like, stop Asian hate, and it's like, well, what do you really mean? It's like, are you saying that like India, China, Korea, Japan, Taiwan, freaking Taiwan, Kazakhstan, like all that? That's all just the same people.
Yeah.
It's like, Korea and China fucking hate each other. I'm sorry. Korea and Japan.
Right?
Japan was the bully around there, and they lost. Like the number of times that Japan, if you hear about the rape of Nanking, like they showed up in China, took over a thing, killed a fucking Hitler number of people. Like there are deep conflicts between all of these different Asian countries, and it's cool to see that like, oh, they're not just all like the same face looking people that we generalize like King of the Hill. Are you Chinese or Japanese?
Yeah. Right, and I think that's like I said, I don't think it's xenophobic because there's no real phobicness of it. I think it's just that it's a kind of mental homogeny that you see Asian appearing people, you just kind of don't differentiate where and from
Asia.
who, especially if you're
Asia City, Asia.
Right, yeah, it's just Asia. It used to be called Oriental. And which like there's such a small percentage of people who live in the actual Orient area. They're like, that doesn't make any sense to label all of these people of being a Oriental people from the Orient.
It's like the Saudis, the Orient, Afghanistan,
right?
the Orient,
and so it's like there's a lot of, but then also when you start to tell primarily white people, white Americans, oh, actually we're also counting like India is Asia.
South
They're like,
Asia.
wait, no, wait, no, but they don't look, and I'm confused.
East
So
Asia.
it's yeah, right. It gets really confusing, and also I think there's a lot of don't careism that we get here, because I think that there's an idea that because there are people like us and that there are political commentators and that we do politically commentate, that people are really invested in politics here, and they are not. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Like, there are people here, I know, and I know this, anybody who could possibly be hearing this at any point that it's bouncing all around into space. Americans on the whole could not give a shit about politics. They will bend and bend and bend and bend, and then they will bend some more. And they don't care, and about what's happening. They will just pay more. They will just get another job. They will just be exhausted. They will just go on medication. They will just, they just keep, there's solutions to everything, even though they're all horrible solutions that are benefiting corporations at the expense of your one life here. But they just cannot be bothered to point the finger at what and who and how, and the fact that something needs to change. And that's what Jared and I have been on about, their tambourines, like, doesn't have to be like this, tambourine, doesn't have to be like this. And that's really all that we're trying to say, and all the point we're trying to get across all the time. So yeah, we sound like fanboys about China because we have, been talking about them this whole time, but it's not because like they're so wonderful and so great and without criticism. It's because they obviously know what they're doing with a very large society and a very large population, and they have done very, very well in the last 40 years, undeniably. So, what's America's excuse? So we have like this kleptocratic, horrible, nowhere near democracy kind of thing. That's another question that's come up on Red Nose. Like, well, why aren't you guys just voting not to do these things? It's like, you think we have control of our government? Like it couldn't possibly be any less control over things. Which is a huge problem, because I know that if we voted like you vote for an American Idol, shit would be a lot different. People, if they could just easily say nope, on their phone or something like that. And then America likes to pretend like it's impossible to secure anything, on that level, which of course it is not.
You got to subjugate the financial class to be below the interest of the people. People will talk about China isn't even communist; it's capitalist, and what they mean is that their mode of production right now is indeed capitalist. It's edging to it's. Do you use what socialism is? Is the wielding of the capitalist mode of production for the betterment of the population, which is very possible. Because we've seen it happen. There's plenty of billionaires in China. There's plenty of large corporations in China. Once you get to a certain point, once you become a Google or a McDonald's, once you have created your monopoly and you've carved it out, that means you've probably you've gotten to a level of efficiency within, because that's all it is, like the ruthless efficiency of the system. You've now emerged at the top of that, and any further competition is essentially impossible. You then that's when you hear like, oh, this the China owns all the corporations in China, like the government does. They essentially go, congratulations, you win. Here's your fucking medal. You're now a state, blah, blah, blah. You no longer have to worry about all these overheads, and you can just exist as a company to do the thing you do, but better. So that's how they're ending up with, now they're even out competing us in the realm of whatever innovation is. Like, they have better electric cars than us, and it's not because they don't have capitalism. It is wielded by a people's government to do things, as opposed to capitalism wields our government to help itself. Like, they get we need this thing through. Okay, what
exactly
fucked up conglomeration of Senate votes can we make happen to distract all these fucking idiots over here? I don't want to call people idiots, but that's how they think of you. To distract these morons over here that think that their vote matters, so that they will be just placated enough to not burn it all down.
Right.
And they haven't really been placating us at all for a really long time. So let's see what happens.
That's another interesting thing. I think that I'm not an economist, and I get kind of glazed over when people start saying economy stuff to me. But the if you want to do economy for dummies by me, then the idea here is that, like, one major reason things suck so hard here across the board is we have no competition. By putting tariffs on everything from everywhere except for like a few approved places, and by really themselves away from China and saying bad guys, like they can just innovate like motherfuckers. They're doing great, they're having a good time, and it's all working out. Their people are having really nice cars and really their kitchen. But
freaking Red Note needed translation features. They had it in like 2 days.
But then in America, exactly, they can get things done. But in the US, there's no competition for cars. There's no competition for making healthier, different, better foods. There's no competition for any kind of green tech.
Because you take the government, which you wield, and legislate out competition. Like, you'll make it illegal for your competitor. They ban TikTok and shit. Like, if you are the electric car, I think Nicolette's down. I was trying to transition right into Nicolette's internet going down, and I think it worked out perfectly. But if the fallacy of actual competition within American-style capitalism, since you're already, like, if you already have one, which is, we've already established, like, name a thing, there's already a freaking entity that's done it. What are you going to do? It's like starting a new Google, trying to do a competitor for a search engine. We saw how Bing worked out, and that was a place backed up by freaking Microsoft. So it's not like there was no money behind it. They were already starting from a place of extreme advantage, and they still can't upset. Like, once you've created not a natural monopoly. Natural monopolies would be things like water and electricity and rail use, like things that don't make sense to have competitors. But once you have a monopoly established, like Amazon has one online shopping and delivery. That's Amazon. There is no reason for it to try to fucking compete. And if you try to compete, once you're at big enough of a spot, you already own a couple senators and judges and congressmen and governors and whatever. You can just make your competition go away through, like, lawfare. You can wield the government to advantage yourself, as opposed to enterprise in China, where the government wields you to get people better stuff. It's a subtle difference, but very, very important. And the only way you get to that point here in the U.S. is by having a little bit of revolution, just as a treat. You have to depose the banker class. You must break the power of finance capital. And no, I'm not saying code word for Jews. What the heck? That's like a thing. It's like, you say financial class, you mean Jews, right? It's like, well, most banks in America are owned by Irish people. So maybe I mean Irish people, the Irish conspiracy to run all of banks. So let's run through some executive orders that happened, and then I'm going to play a song. And Nicolette may be able to finish the show. Who knows? Depend on the internet. January 6th pardons. These are all executive orders that he signed, and this is through NPR, so they're all colored in a certain way. Who pardons some 1,500 defendants who participated in the siege on the U.S. Capitol 4 years ago. 1,500, I don't know, man. The fact that if 1,500 people were sitting in jail over that, it sounds like what they do when you do a left-wing protest. Round everybody up, put them all in jail. I think if you've been in jail for 4 years at this point for that, you probably should be let out. No one was killed. You'll be like, but what about? And it's like, you had some cop suicides, and I think one guy had a heart attack. Nobody like beat a cop to death on January 6th. It just didn't happen. There were no bombs. It was just a weird, and not quite provably because they're just all pleading the fifth. But the FBI will not say that they didn't help with it. That they didn't have agents literally inside dressed up as Trump supporters to like help get the riot going. And we know how that goes. Look, we're doing the Black Lives Matter protests, and here is clearly a cop breaking a bunch of windows trying to start shit. That's already a pattern that the FBI and CIA and the fucking deep state, they already do that shit. Why would you think they don't do it here? They clearly don't like Trump that much. Okay. Pausing the TikTok ban. That's kind of self-explanatory. Undoing Biden executive actions. And there's 78 of them that he's undoing. And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe some. What is it? Oh, Biden's recent move to take Cuba off the list of state-sponsored terrorism? What? That was happening? That's weird. I guess maybe he was throwing that in. Oh, recent move. So he was. I think that was like some gamesmanship of throw this out there to make him undo it. But also, if you're trying to win over like Miami voters, that helps you. So you're kind of giving Trump a layup there, because I don't know how many voters give that much of a shit about Cuba in the positive way. Like, I would love if we stopped effing around with Cuba, but I'm not really the demographic they're trying to capture with these moves. Inflation. This is like a vague one where it's like, did he just executive order away inflation? It's like, no, he didn't order, saying like, everybody fix inflation, please. It directs the heads, this is in quotes, the heads of all executive departments and agencies to deliver emergency price relief consistent with applicable law to the American people and increase the prosperity of the American worker. So it's an order that says, do everything you can to bring down inflation with no specifics or requirements. Good luck. Maybe that'll fucking work. Who knows? Immigration. He shut down a bunch of stuff. But Biden had already been doing that. Making sweeping changes to immigration and border security. Oh, they include national emergency declaration, which Biden was already doing on a certain, we broke X number, he was doing these national declarations anyway. Clarifying the military's role in border security. That's remember when the Texas National Guard and was fighting with ICE and XYZ. Prioritize the protection of these are kind of some, these are executive orders, and at the most, they will last until the end of his term, and then they'll all get flipped back by whatever Democrat. Or a Republican? I don't know who's going to win next. Who gives a shit? And ending catch and release. Continue building the wall. Continue building the wall. A thing that happened to Biden. I live in Arizona. They were talking every other week about, oh, he got another thing of wall built. Who? Trump, the person who isn't president? No, Biden, the person who is president. Designating criminal cartels as terrorists. All right. Suspending refugee resettlement. We stopped the refugee admissions program. Jesus. That seems like something. Ending birthright citizenship? Wait, really? There's no fucking way that's going through. That would be pretty. That'd be pretty messed up. Signed an order that would end birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. Oh, to parents without legal status. Okay. The order argues the 14th Amendment, which enshrines. So that's going to the Supreme Court. Which enshrines birthright citizenship does not extend to individuals who are born in the country but not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. All right. This election is likely to see immediate legal challenges. I would assume. Enhanced vetting and screening. Okay. Oh, I see. This is still immigration stuff. Protect American citizens against invasion. What does that mean? Oh, this order instructs federal agencies to use all lawful means. All right. To ensure the faithful execution. So it's another thing of like, hey, the laws that already exist, do them harder? Oh, restore the death penalty. Oh, federal. We're restoring the federal death penalty. Yeah, fuck that, stupid. For various reasons that you probably already know. It's more expensive even. Like, there's very few benefits to the death penalty over life imprisonment. Also, hey, what if we had killed Leonard Peltier and now he's fucking you can't then pardon him for really obvious reasons years and years, decades later. Federal workforce. Oh yeah, there's a freeze on hiring. That might affect some people, but if you don't like the military-industrial complex, well, guess what? Guess the only departments that they're probably not going to be firing a ton of people from. Let me see. Does it even have a cutout in this? Requiring like in-office work. Regulatory freeze, preventing the creation of new federal regulations. All right. Withdrawing from the Paris Climate. We have been in and out of the Paris Climate Accords like 6 times in my life. We're in, we're out, we're in, we're out, we're in. I mean, that would matter more if we were taking any of that shit seriously in the first place. Defining sex and ending DEI programs. You can't define my sex. I thought it said defending at first. I'm like, defending sex. Like, hey, they're having sex in there. I'm here to play defense. Trump signed an executive action Monday night dealing with gender identity. The details weren't immediately made public. That's kind of my thing is like, what the fuck can you possibly write in an executive order that would actually like do anything or mean anything? Like, if you write an executive order that says there are two genders, blah, 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 what does that do? Like, it feels like right virtue signaling. Like, instead of we've declared a holiday for blank, we've declared an anti-holiday for blank. Like, who does that actually affect? I guess if you're a federal employee with like non-binary as your like official government gender, you would not be able to do that anymore. Does that mean you're fired? An order would make it the policy of the United States to recognize two biologically distinct sexes. Yeah, but like, okay, what does that do? It'd be like declaring a national color. It's like, okay, are we legally required to wear it? Or do we just, that's just there now as a symbolic thing? There are sexes that are not changeable and they are grounded. Because that's also just like scientifically wrong. There are people who are born with chromosomes that do not match up with male, strictly like XX or XY. Like, what if you got XXY? What are you? You don't exist according to the federal government. It's like a silly one. Well, you know what I mean by silly. Energy and climate. National energy emergency has been declared. Intends to, aiming to cut red tape and regulations. So they can like drill and shit more. Which Biden was already selling off national park land to drill. I don't see this. This feels like signaling because it feels like, oh, things are going to stay the same, but now I, Trump, get to take credit for it. Credit or blame, depending on how you feel. The action will end what incoming Trump officials call the, quote, electric vehicle mandate and will end efforts to curtail consumer choice on the... curtail consumer choice? My consumer choice is being curtailed by the fact that they won't sell me a $25,000 Chinese electric car. That's what I want. I want to get a badass MFer. I want to get a BYD, Build Your Dreams. That's one of their big car companies. That'll cost half what an American electric one and do twice as much stuff. That's what I want. That's what's curtailing my choice. And Biden was talking about or did implement a 100% tariff on Chinese electric cars. So again, it just seems like, oh, so Biden, who was trying to stop you from buying an electric car, is going to be replaced by Trump, who was trying to stop you from buying an electric car. Such difference. Trump has long railed against energy efficiency standards on the campaign trail. I do want better I want to buy less gas. I want to buy no gas. And specifically taking aim at electric vehicle mandates, a term he uses to encompass all policies designed to encourage a transition to battery-powered cars. Again, what about all the discouraging steps taken by the previous admin? We are at time. I think Nicolette is just internet down for the count. Oh, look, we can look at, Fauci got... Oh, it's funny because Biden. So, man, final like politics thought of the day here. You have Trump, who is pardoning people participating in January 6th, who for the most part are broke motherfuckers from Michigan. Like, they're not high-powered people for the most part. It's random hillbillies who had a dream and decided to do a riot. And then on the other side, you have Biden pardoning the people who convicted those people. So you have the defendants and plaintiffs in a situation where both have been given like, here's a bunch of legal cover just in case. Okay, both of you are so fucked, we're just pardoning everyone involved. If you were prosecuting, you're pardoned. If you were being prosecuted, also pardoned. I'm trying to think of a situation where it's like, okay, this is a murder case, and we're going to pardon both the murderer and the guy prosecuting him because that's how crazy, like, that's the situation we're in where that is the ideal move, is just pardon everyone. The bailiff, he's pardoned. People sitting in the audience, you're all pardoned. The clerk, pardoned. Stenographer is pardoned. Everyone involved. Guy who cleaned the floor after, triple pardoned. He's the most pardoned man in America. Okay. I'm going to play a new song that I wrote. I wish I could say just for you, but I wrote this for other reasons, and I like it. and maybe you'll like it. It's called Echoes. It's very dreamy. I'm going to lip sync along with it while it plays, and hopefully it plays nice and loud. Nice and loud. Let's try it out. My pool broke, and I'm releasing an album to try and pay for it. Chlorine. And also the question, oh no, I don't think I changed my effing audio source. Hold up. This is worth it. Is this worth it? We'll find out. What do we call it? Yeah, loop back up. Check, check, check. Okay, I should be double going through. Now we got it, baby. Here's the song.
Rent was tough and we'd had enough, so we thought we'd buy a place.
Professional.
Had a pool, so it wasn't cool, but we checked it just in case. COVID came, made the big decision, and so we bought it. From that day on, it was us paying for chlorine. Living like a
that David Lynch just died, and this sounds very much like a David Lynch thing.
Couple years on and we believe all the greenery out there has to do with our swimming pool and its big ass fucking crack.
Crack in our pool, we have to fix it.
Never wanted it in the first place. The bills are stacking up at a fast pace, and plus it's a diving pool. Can't dig those anymore due to zoning rules. I'm putting up with myself, you're putting up with me, and darling, maybe I only put this to pay for my pool.
Solo here.
Had to fix this apocalyptic attack on my bank account. Major repairs from deck to pool stairs, a cost I can't surmount. Solved my problem, you bought my album, but life goes on when I'm eating ramen and paying for this pebble tape. A financial raid. I'm putting up with myself, you're putting up with me, and darling, maybe I only put this to pay for my pool. I'm putting up with myself, you're putting up with me, and darling, maybe I only put this to pay for my pool.
By the way,
it's a shame that I've gone too far, or to make it say your name or say your ways. It echoes on. It's a shame that
See you next week. Mwah.